I'm Lance Yelvington for CyberCountry. Have you ever noticed that when you sit there and talk to somebody who knows something and has known something for a long time, like the country music business, that a lot of times, especially if you're from Nashville, it gets into a conversation about friends, family, neighborhoods, and stuff like that. Well, I had a conversation recently with Jeannie Seely, who has some great new music coming down the pike. And it kind of got into a conversation about everything from neighborhoods to my old kindergarten. Anyway, in this CyberCountry Minute, I'm going to let Jeannie Seely tell you more.
Written in Song is a collection of 14 songs that I wrote through the years, going as far back as 1963, when the very first song I ever had recorded. And oddly enough, even though my entire career has been in country music, that was not recorded by a country artist. It was a hit by legendary R&B artist Irma Thomas, who is the queen of soul in New Orleans and still very active today. It was called Anyone Who Knows What Love Is. And then through the years, I was very honored and privileged to have some of the greatest artists of our era do some of my songs, and this album kind of is like paying tribute and honoring all of those who honored me by choosing some of my material.
Well, the cool thing about the new stuff that you've got on the new album, Written in Song, is a lot of it harkens back to the traditional sound that a lot of us are used to, because I know a lot of times right now you've got that sort of pop country sound that...
Well, there's a little bit of that in this album, too. There are two songs on the album that had never been recorded by anybody else that I did, and they may be a little bit on the other side of things. The boys in the band, the musicians that went in the studio with me, which I'm so blessed to be able to work every week at the Grand Ole Opry with some of the greatest session musicians in Music City. And when we were in the studio, because I did it the old-fashioned way, I want us all in there doing it all at the same time. And they were remarking about how different all these songs are. There's hardly two that are alike. I like to think that I can write a country shuffle like one we were talking about earlier, Leaving and Saying Goodbye, which was originally a big hit by Farron Young, gave him a #1 record and me my first award as a songwriter. We did that on this CD, and Dawn Sears also did an incredible performance on it. So as a nod to Dawn and in memory of Dawn, I asked her daughter, Tess Sears, to come in and sing harmony with me. I think people will really enjoy hearing that because Tess sounds like a very young Dawn Sears.
What was the most fun part about taking all these songs, getting the stuff together? Because these are just 14 songs that you've written, and you've got tons more than that. How tough was it to go through there and pick those 14 songs?
Well, what made it easier is because I did it to choose to honor the artist that did them. So I went through, and of course Willie Nelson doing one of your songs is just phenomenal. Merle Haggard, when you write like Willie and Merle, I mean, just to have them even listen to a song was amazing. Life of a Rodeo Cowboy that Merle did, that was in the late 70s. But you know, that song is just as current today because the rodeo's never going to go out of style. There's always going to be those rodeo cowboys. All I'm out there, as the song says, you know, riding broncs and going broke. And one line in there says, when you're on the day you think today is the big one, I'm walking away with all that they own. Then you're lying, hurting, hearing someone saying, give him a hand, that's all that cowboy's taking home. That's just happening in rodeo arenas every weekend now. Yeah. So that song is timeless. I think a lot of these songs are timeless in that a country shuffle's not going out of style. And a Western swing is not going out of style. little touch of bluegrass, a little bit of southern rock in there. Some of the rowdy ones like "Who Needs You." I did that on the Charlie Daniels Jam last year.
Mm.
It was so fun to see all these young girls standing up for Jeannie Seely's song. It was just fun.
Well, that's just one of the fun parts last year of Charlie Daniels' volunteer jam.
Aren't we glad that he's doing that again?
Don't get me started. I was in the first one. I just remember it went from War Memorial. I just dated myself when I said that
yes,
too, didn't
you did. You better be careful. We're all making notes here. But what a wonderful man. You talk about timeless. Look at Charlie Daniels and the career he's had. It's just phenomenal. And I am glad he's doing the jam again, and it's such a wonderful cause too, and helping the returning military people.
Well, too, one thing too, you're talking about technique in songwriting and stuff like that. You've been doing it the right way for a long time, and listening to the stuff that comes out nowadays where they've got the formula, where you've got the hit formula and then they try to make it crossover pop. Does it ever make you think like, well, this way works too, you know? And
well, you know what? I want to try to write the way they're doing now, and I'm so fortunate. I can't even believe it. But so many of the young artists and writers have asked me to write with them, and I'm like, really? You know, I have never made an appointment and to go into a writing session. So that fascinates me. I can't even imagine how that would work. But a few of them are brave enough to say they want to give it a try. So.
You sit down with an idea, then you try to form a story around the idea. But I mean, you've been telling stories for years like that. I mean, you know, so you have the secret.
I have a lot of truths that I make up as I go. You know, and talking about songwriting, the funny thing was about a year ago, I worked the Bluebird. We did a songwriter in the round thing with Billy Yates, Jimmy Fortune, Mo Pitney, and me. And everybody was saying, you know, I said, I've never never sung at the Bluebird before. And they're like, you're kidding me. That's where everybody gets started. And I said, you got to realize I was started before the Bluebird.
Oh, man.
But I had a wonderful time and hoping to go back.
Yeah, I can remember the Bluebird back when it was the Red Geranium Pizza.
Oh, really?
Ooh,
you're dating
I am
yourself
so sorry.
again. You're going to have to watch that. They'll think we're visiting an old folks' home pretty soon.
Well, let me ask you, the thing that really appealed to me about the whole idea of this album was you get to start to come back, and people don't just take what you see on TV for Jeannie Seely. They start to take the musical stuff too, and the stuff we see in the Opry. So it gives us a chance to see the new stuff from you, and, you know, that's good.
This has been a great opportunity for me. I had kind of mentioned to Kenny Sears, you know, with the Time Jumpers, also plays fiddle with me at the Opry. One night in the dressing room, I just said, you know, I haven't recorded in a while, and if I could find some good songs, I might just go in and record again for the heck of it. Kenny said, you don't need to look for songs. He said, look in your own closet. You got so many good songs. So that started me thinking. And then also, Eddie Stubbs has been just nonstop for several years saying, you know, Jeannie, you've had songs recorded by so many artists. He said, I'd just like to hear you do a whole album of your own songs to see how you would interpret them. So
the big question that needs to come up is, what took you so long?
I guess maybe I just don't like to work that hard. That's hard work, you know.
No kidding, yeah.
But we had so much fun, and I think I mentioned earlier that I like to go in there with everybody. I know the normal way anymore to record, and with the technology it does help a lot for the musicians to go in and cut the tracks, and then the singer comes in another time. But I'm definitely a team player. I like to be a part of the whole thing coming together. And there again, because I work with these guys every weekend at the Opry, we all know each other so well, so we were free to say whatever And I love hearing their ideas and feeding off of their enthusiasm. And they worked so hard for me. They just really did. And of course, Marty Stewart and Connie Smith coming in and sharing that experience with me. Connie recorded Senses, the first one, and I think 64. It was before we met. And Marty was so sweet. I promise it won't take too much of your time. And they spent the whole evening there. Marty is such a great musician.
Oh, yeah.
Got such a great ear. I mean, he wasn't going to let anything go by if it wasn't right in tune. And then he said, Seely, I wanted to do something, make this even more special for you. So he said, I brought a couple of guitars out of my museum that I want to play on it. And so he played, one was Mother Maybell's guitar, and the other one was Hank Williams Sr. I just sat there dumbfounded. I couldn't believe that Marty went to that much trouble and everything. So there's a lot of love in this album, a lot of love that they showed me, and certainly a lot of love I feel for them.
This is going to be a tough question, but what would be your favorite song on this album? Or is that tough?
It's a very tough one because they are all so different. Anyone who knows what love is, even though I didn't even think I'd do that in the beginning, is very special to me, and maybe because it was the very first song I ever had recorded. And of course, Sometimes I Do is very special because of Ernest Tubb. She always got what she wanted because of little Jimmy Dickens. I could just go on. It's just, I don't think I can pick a favorite. They all mean a lot to me.
Again, let me ask about technology. How does modern day technology right now help you reach the fans? Do you like the technology that you can use now?
Technology today is phenomenal. Social media is just phenomenal that you can reach in a few seconds millions of people that we traveled miles and miles to not even scratch the surface. And by the way, let me just use you for a minute to say thank you to all of the wonderful people who follow me, those that have stuck with me all through the years. And it's amazing the young people that I'm meeting, like you say, through social media. They wouldn't maybe look for me, but when they pull up to see somebody else they know on the Opry, they can't help but see me. So it's been very gratifying to me to hear from so many people.
Well, good music never gets out of style either.
That's very true. And you know what? The songs are timeless because everybody's always going to fall in love. Everybody's always going to get their heart broke. So some of the things maybe about the drinking, they probably don't have to do that. But other than that. Hi, I'm Jeannie Seely with the Grand Ole Opry, and thank you for coming by CyberCountry. You can go to JeannieSeely.com. That's my website. You'll find out all kinds of dirt on me.